What's up, YouTube? So before we get started with this video on First Take, they're going to be talking about Antonio Brown responds back to something that Stephen A. Smith said. So let's see what they have to say.
Didn't know words was a crime. We can exchange words. How about you come to South Florida and let's speak, quote, quite frankly, at Stephen A. Smith. Well, Louis Riddick joining us now for this, what I'm sure to be a fired up conversation. Stephen A., how do you respond to AB on this one?
Well, first of all, it's not going to be a fired up conversation on my part because I'm at a point where I feel incredibly sorry for what I'm witnessing take place in the life of Antonio Brown. He's clearly not all there. He's all over the place emotionally. We all know that. Some have speculated they think that he has CTE. He's suffering from that right now. We don't know. I don't know that. But I know that he doesn't seem to have been the same since nearly getting decapitated by Vontaze Burfict and looking like rigor mortis was kicking in right on the turf, for crying out loud. What a devastating hit.
Yeah, so he might be right about that. It might be CTE kicking in for Antonio Brown, because to tell you the truth, I don't really remember Antonio Brown ever being a problem when he was with the Pittsburgh Steelers, other than that last year. And he was with the Steelers for like 7 or 8 years. I never heard any problems out of Antonio Brown while he was with them, other than that last year. And then it just really started to build up a snowball with the problem. So it might be a CTE. It just might be. So I don't know. Let's continue.
He suffered, and we don't know what kind of residual effects that may have had on him. As it pertains to him coming at me and talking along the lines of we can speak, there have been several opportunities in the past when Antonio Brown has had an opportunity to speak to me. He has passed. Also, he's passed in terms of blocking me on social media. I was never following him, but I guess he didn't want me seeing any of his stuff either, as if I cared, because I don't.
Well, you do care because you're talking about him, and you will continue to talk about him, whether it's your job or not.
In the end, I think that it's incredibly important that I remind all the folks in the world of sports of this very, very important message, and coming from me directly, and that's this. I don't get paid to talk to you. I get paid to talk about you. I am the one who extends myself by looking to speak to players, because I always want them to know I'm going to hear their perspective. And even if I disagree with it, they can rest assured that if they give me their perspective, I will make sure to accurately depict what that perspective is over the national airwaves, because I believe that's the fair thing to do. And I'm going to always put that front and center. I don't have to entertain the nonsense that's going on with Antonio Brown, because Antonio Brown has clearly engaged in a lot of nonsensical things over the last year, forcing his way out of Pittsburgh, conducting himself the way that he did in Oakland, going to New England, knowing that you had allegations levied against you, with the Patriots asking you to keep quiet and don't communicate with that person that's alleged these allegations on social media, but you ignore them and do exactly that, which is what got you released. These are the things that he's doing. But I also am mindful of the fact that for me to pounce on him right now would be an exercise of cruelty, because I know that brother is not right. I don't care what anybody says. Look at what is transpiring with him. He doesn't deserve our ire. He doesn't deserve our fury. He does not deserve our insults. Right now, what he deserves is our concern, because something appears to be wrong with him. And I'll end it by saying this. I want to tell Drew Rosenhaus, who I think is an exceptional agent, I am incredibly disappointed with him, because to announce to the world that you are severing ties with Antonio Brown until he seeks help, well, why don't you just say what it really is? I'm severing ties with Antonio Brown until he can make me money again, because I don't give a damn about anything else. Because why would you feel the need to sever ties with him right now unless you're doing it permanently? What do you mean until he gets help? Yeah, we all think he needs help right now.
I see that a little different.
Yeah, so do I. So I think, at some point, everybody is going to abandon you if you keep doing these self-destructive things. And that's his agent. So if anybody knows what destructive things he's up to, it would be him. And if he's tired of it, and a lot of agents are all about the money, then that tells you how bad it is. And again, like I said, that must be how bad it is, because everybody knows with interventions and drug rehab and all that type of stuff, eventually you have to let that person hit rock bottom, then you can build them back up. And if your agent leaves you, That means, it must be pretty bad. I don't know. It's probably about money, but that's how bad it is that he will leave him. And maybe once his agent is gone and he's supposed to be your right hand man, maybe that might knock some sense into him about, well, maybe I need to get some help. Maybe I need to do X, Y, Z to take care of business or whatever. So I don't know. Let's continue.
Why would you do that? I don't like the fact that Drew Rosenhaus did that at all. I really don't. You are freaking Drew Rosenhaus. You are a very influential and powerful man in the National Football League. It's not all about making money sometimes. Sometimes it's about helping that dude that helped get you paid, because Antonio Brown was getting paid all of these years when you was getting some of that money as well. Right now, that's the situation. I don't like how he handled that. As it pertains to Antonio Brown with the cops, I want to say this. Antonio Brown was absolutely right. You can't get arrested for just words. I was under the impression, because there was a couple of times, that I've seen cops hem up people because folks were running their mouth. But I didn't realize until I was reminded the other day, they're not supposed to be able to do that. You do have the freedom.
Now, wait a minute. You trying to tell me you didn't know that you don't have freedom of speech? Obviously, as long as you're not threatening a police officer, that you can pretty much say whatever you want. If you didn't know that, there's something wrong with you, Stephen A. Smith. And back to Antonio Brown's agent, like I said, at some point, everybody has to cut all ties from that person if they're going to continue to be doing self-destructive activity. Nobody wants to be a part of that, so everybody's going to leave. So if your agent leaves and he's all about the money, then something must be wrong. Like I said, I make reference to the show Intervention because that's where I got a lot of little steps from how to take care of people with issues. But like I said, eventually you're going to have to start cutting ties with that person until they realize they've got nothing else, no more help. Maybe now I should change my ways or whatever the situation is. And again, we don't necessarily know what all his agent has done for him. Because these agents can get dirty and they can do a lot of dirty stuff for these players. Not as in, well, they screw them over and all that, but as far as, getting them out of jail and covering up certain incidences that, they may not want the media jackals to see, things of that nature. So we don't know what his agent has done for him. That's what I'm saying. If he left him, then that means there's something wrong. So let's continue.
To say what you want and then be gone. So he is right when he said to me, excuse me, I didn't know that I could get in trouble for just words. Antonio Brown was right about that, but clearly there is something wrong with him. I'm not going to disrespect him or anything. I hope and pray that he gets better. I'm rooting for him, but it's not going to be at the expense. It's not going to be at the expense of watching him harm other people. When you harm yourself,
I want to get back to the Drew Rosenhaus point you made, Stephen A., because I think it's not so cut and dried. I get your point, but there's a gray area here. We've all known people in our lives going down the wrong path. If you reach a certain age in life, no matter what your background, you've encountered this, whether it's your own family, circle of friends, whatever it is, and at a certain point, you can't babysit them. At a certain point, they're resistant to help. If they're resistant to what you're saying, you got to cut them loose and hope that they're going to hit bottom at a certain point and bounce back up.
But why announce it?
Well, you announce it to let everybody know, like, look, I'm trying to get help for this guy, or I'm staying away from this guy, so pretty much everybody else stay away from him. He's going to be on his own because he wants to keep doing his self-destructive activities. I don't want to be a part of it. I don't want to see it. So he might just be putting it out there like, look, even I've stopped messing with AB because of the self-destruction things that he's done. So maybe he might realize and see no matter where he goes, he might not be getting help. So I think that's what he's doing. At this point, I'm not really looking at his agent like he's done a bad job. I understand where he's coming from. Again, because I've watched the show Intervention a few times. So I don't know. Let's continue.
Been disturbed about with Antonio Brown is every time I think, oh, this will wake him up. Now he'll understand. You keep bringing up he couldn't shut up for 36 hours, whatever it was, and he lost $30 million. He could, now he gets it. He's on his way into the Patriots. He sent out these texts that the lady has no good. He won't do it again. He does it again. He is in this own little world of his, in this bubble where he still feels that he's being victimized.
None of us find it funny. None of us wish this on him. We wish him nothing but the best. But to get back to the point about Drew Rosenhaus, to close this out, let me say this, Max Kellerman. If you're going to let him go and you announce that you let him go and you're done with him, fine. If you're going to help him behind the scenes, then there's no reason to let him go. But to let him go and then say until he gets help, and then you'll be back there. In other words, it's like, I'll be back when you're ready to help me make some more money. That's how it comes across. I'm not.
Well, it works both ways, because it'll be the same thing with you, Stephen A. Smith, and the media jackals. Well, I don't want to talk to you, Antonio Brown, until you clean your act up. Once you clean your act up, then we'll talk to you. That's the same premise for everybody dealing with Antonio Brown. And like I said, his agent knows a lot more of what's going on behind closed doors than we do. So if his agent leaves him, and that's his main moneymaker, if not one of them, then it has to be pretty bad. Very, very bad. So let's continue.
I want to be clear. I am not accusing Drew Rosenhaus of feeling that way. I don't know. What I'm challenging Drew Rosenhaus on is the optics, which is something on a professional level he has paid attention to spanning decades.